Can you hear me? You are muted. Deep, you are muted.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, so my headphones they don't seem to work. I'm trying to reconnect. Let me see. Hello, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, perfect.
Okay,
Yes.
okay. Thank you,
Okay.
Deep. Okay, thank you everyone for this today's presentation. It's a IEEE MTT-S student branch chapter University of Dhaka organized online webinar. So it's absolutely our pleasure to have our guest, Dr. Dev Vital. He earned his BSc degree in Mechanical and Industrial Engineering from Florida Polytechnic University in 2017, and followed by a PhD in Electrical and Computer Engineering from Florida International University in 2021. At present, currently, he is working as an assistant professor at the Electrical and Computer Engineering of University of Illinois at Chicago. Today, he got a lot of awards, and I know him personally because we worked together for IEEE MTT-S technical committee. So today he's going to talk about self-powered wearable hubs for connected and personalized health monitoring and beyond, a novel approach to modernizing healthcare using virtual reality simulation clinics. We lost him, or Dave, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I can hear you.
Yeah, without any further introduction, I would like to request Dr. Dev Vital to deliver his talk, today's talk. Thank you, Dev.
Okay, thank you. Let me share my screen. Just want to make sure. Okay, perfect. Okay. Hello, can you see my slides?
Yes, I can.
Okay, perfect. Okay, good morning, everybody from the United States. I know it's already evening for you all. It's always a pleasure talking with you, Mahmoud, and thank you for the opportunity. And I hope today I'll be able to let you go home with something new, with something exciting. So as Mahmoud say, I'm an assistant professor at the University of Illinois, Chicago in the Department of Electrical and Computer Engineering. So all my work is in wearable technology, like whatever you can use for wearables, that's me. So today my presentation will be about some of the systems that I've been developing, and most importantly for healthcare. So let me start. By 2031, so the smart medical device market will have a revenue of $132 billion. That's a big deal. And all of these devices that will be more popular, in this next decade will be devices focusing most likely on diagnostics and monitoring, not really therapeutics. Like therapeutics, usually it's about taking a pill or taking an IV or doing other thing. But even after that, you still have to monitor that health situation. So diagnostics and monitoring, they will be over there every step of the way. And among these devices that they are foreseeing, they're gonna be non-wearables and wearables. But since I am a wearable person, so I want to focus this presentation on the wearable portion of the of that ask for smart medical devices. So my presentation will merely focus about the requirements for these smart wearable devices. What are the benefits when you use these devices in terms of powering the sensing capabilities and the data acquisition, what it's gonna look like. And at the end, I'm gonna talk to you about the future prospects. First of all, what are the requirements of these wearable devices? Well, since they are wearable devices, what do we expect? We expect them to act like normal clothing. Let's say a shirt, let's say an undergarment. So you want to make sure that when you use these devices, they don't change your lifestyle. Right now, I wear like a shirt, right? And if this shirt has sensors or other microwave circuitry on it, I don't want to feel like I'm wearing something else. I want to just put it on and forget about it, right? And since we're dealing with healthcare, so we want to make sure that all the data that we are collecting, they are precise. If you have precise data, you're going to have precise analysis, and precise analysis, you're going to have precise diagnostics, and precise diagnostics, you're going to have good health. Because, you know, without accuracy, everything is chaotic, right? And as I said, you want to make sure that all these wearable devices, they act like normal clothing, normal wear, right? So they have to be user-friendly. And you want to make sure that like all the data that you're collecting, that you're modulating, that you're transmitting, they are secure. And the privacy of the person wearing these devices is ensured, right? And when you sending and receive data, you want that to be done seamlessly, right? Again, you don't want to make sure that you have anything more on you than what you usually wear. And you want to make sure that the battery capacity that these devices have, they can be as long as they can be. Because you don't want to make sure that you're collecting devices for some life-changing treatment and suddenly everything stops. And depends on the organ that you're trying to monitor, and you know how lethal that can be, right? And you want to make sure that these devices, they are durable and they are reliable. So let's say I have these piece of wearable devices and I wash them and I fold them and I dry them. I want to make sure that the performance doesn't change after all of these scenarios happen, right? And we want them to be flexible and flexible, stretchable, so that when I wear it or when anybody wears it, when they're subject to any kind of movement, and that doesn't compromise the performance of the devices either, right? So now we talk about all the requirements, but what are the benefits, right? And since these wearable devices, they're gonna act like normal clothing, they're not gonna change your lifestyle, but you know that at the end of the day, they're gonna do something health-wise, right? So they're gonna make you feel empowered, and they're gonna make you feel engaged. And one of the things that I didn't mention, so when you wear like a smart device, you are in control of your health. Like, you know, you have an idea of like, you know, how you're doing today, how you were doing yesterday, right? And how you will be doing tomorrow. Like some of the devices can even predict. So that makes you feel like, you know, you are in total control. And from there, you can be anywhere, you collect data and you send them out anywhere that you are in the world. you should be able to relay that information to the person that is authorized. For example, your medical doctor, your nurse, or any other care provider. And by doing so, that's gonna help you with early intervention and early detection and more preventive care. So if you have all these devices to collect data, so without you knowing it, so they're gonna detect something that could happen to you if you didn't know. And by detecting that earlier, it's gonna be better because you're gonna have better care. You're gonna your provider will be able to have early intervention and early for you to have a better care. Let me see. Oh, okay. And you want this monitoring process to be continuous. So as you can see, this is a cycle. So if this is a cycle, as I mentioned before, you want to make sure that the battery structure that you have a long life. Otherwise, this cycle will be discontinued, right? And what will that that's gonna help transform the way that we see healthcare, right? By leveraging all the technology that we have at our disposal. And that's gonna improve patients' health outcome. And that's gonna make them feel empowered, in a sense, their care will be personalized. So now we talked about the requirements, we talked about the benefits, then let's deep dive into how we power, because they are devices, they need to be powered. And how do they collect the information? They need to have sensing capabilities. And how they can send information? They need to have some data acquisition capability to collect, to transmit, and to receive. So in a grand scheme of things, when we are looking at these wearable devices, they have some key components that they're supposed to have, right? And since they are wearable devices and you don't want to use regular battery that you are using in everyday life, right? Because they are heavy. And these batteries too, since some of them, they use the 3-layer process, the anode, the cathode, and the interlayer to separate them. And if by any chance you have something sharp and you poke the battery, you can have explosion. So at some point, it's not a good idea to use conventional batteries for these devices. Then how we can make these, how we can do that? Well, we can do wireless power transfer, which is, the easiest thing to look at, somebody like me who's in microwave. So we have that piece that we can leverage, right? And how we do that is by designing antennas. So we can design antennas on clothing, designing an antenna to that wearable device. And from the antenna, you capture the RF power, right? You capture the RF power. And from there, you convert that from RF to DC using rectifying circuits. So now, you have some RF power that you convert into DC, and that DC power level, you can use it to power your sensor, because some of the sensors, they are enzymatics. You're supposed to power them, and some of them, they are non-enzymatic. You don't need to. But at the end of the day, you need to have some power available to power the sensors based on the sensors that you use. And on top of that, your data modulation circuit, it's an active circuit. So it needs power. And this DC power as well can be branched out to power these data modulation circuit. And at the end, so now you have data that you acquired, that you collected, and that you modulate, then you can send them out. How you can do that? The easiest way is just to have another antenna. And from there, you send the data out and you have a receiver, a remote receiver, and the remote receiver like no receive. And based on what you modulate, if you modulate the amplitude or if you modulate the frequency, that's what you're gonna see, right? And that's gonna help us like leverage wireless power charging, sensing, and data analytics, just to give these wearable devices like a new look. Now let's start with, okay, yeah. So let's start with a wireless charging hub that you can have on clothing. So the key features that we have to look at from this device is we want to be able to incorporate it like, using flexible clothing antennas and power harvesting circuits. And it's supposed to have the ability to provide like, charging to on-body sensors. And since human beings spend most of their time doing like, sedentary activities, then, that's gonna be something that we can leverage as well. For that, we need a transmitter, and that transmitter supposed to have some key features. It's supposed to be misalignment resilient, so that whenever you are subject to all kind of movement, it doesn't change the performance of the system. And for that, you need textile integration because it's a piece of clothing. And for the receiver, so you have all these flexible circuits and modules. So, and you want to make sure that you can emulate some real life scenario, right? That's why you use these wearable devices. So this is the first wearable devices that that we develop, and we patent them, and we hopefully we'll see if we can commercialize it pretty soon. Okay, for this particular on-body charging device, the specific antenna that I designed for misalignment resilience was the anchor-shaped antenna. So that anchor-shaped antenna, the way it was built was, first of all, we use a single loop. The single loop is the typical representative of a resonator. So we move two parts from two, we remove two parts of it from two adjacent sides. And from there, we put a bar in the middle to connect these two semicircles, right? What does that help us realize? That help us realize to collect fringing fields, because if you have a sharp, some sharp terminations, they're gonna generate fringing fields. And these fringing fields, they more electric. So they're gonna be added to the electric field that's already in the antenna, and that's gonna strengthen the electric field. So now you're gonna have higher power transfer, right? And also, since they are fringing fields, they don't have a direct path. That's why when you misalign the transmitter and the receiver, you will still be able to get some fringing fields to be added to the electric fields that's already present, and to still have high power transfer, even if you misalign, right? Now, so if you are able to collect a high RF power, then you expect to convert this RF power into DC. right? That's why we had to develop this rectifying circuit. So this rectifying circuit is a single diode rectifier with some harmonic suppression, with second harmonic suppression. So the reason why that we consider this circuit is because we wanted to make sure that we have a simple circuit so that, you know, it doesn't take too much space on the wearable. And also, we didn't want to use too many lamp components because all these lamp components, they're gonna have a lot of power loss, and power loss, you know, is gonna convert in heat, and heat is not good when you have it on body, right? So this device was operated like, you know, at 360 megahertz because this is the same frequency at which we design the antenna. And the peak RF to DC conversion, like efficiency that we realized was like, you know, 77% at 22.5 dBm, and the highest voltage level was 10 volt. So, and this voltage level, this is way more than enough to power a variety of sensors and data modulators, right? And now we have the rectifying circuit, and we have the antenna. Then now we can put them all together and to do some power transfer and harvesting all, right? So for that, we had to emulate a real-life scenario. So the real-life scenario was looked at like you have a room and you have a transmitter, right? That is fixed. And you have the receiver. So the receiver is what we have on clothing, right? And since the receiver will be on a person, so that person will be subject to all kind of movement, like, you know, going around and doing, hold on. And this person is gonna be going around and will be misaligned at some point, like, you know, from the transmitter. And we wanna see how will that look like. So we try to emulate a 4x4 square feet room where we put the transmitter at a position. So that position was not chosen, like, you know, very strategically because, you know, we don't really know exactly where we should place it. So we put it in the middle of one side of the room. And for the receiver, we consider two major configurations. We're like, okay, when the receiver is misaligned with the transmitter, like, you know, in a parallel configuration, and when it's misaligned with the transmitter, perpendicular, because these are like the two major misalignment. And we try to see, like, you know, how the power transfer will be affected. So for that, we try to define some specific locations, right? We have multiple locations in the room where the receiver can be at, and for the two configurations. And from there, we do the wireless power transfer and the harvesting. So the amount of power that we put in the transmitter was 1 watt, because FCC and FDA, they don't want to put more than 1 watt in these sources. Why? Because per experience, when you put 1 watt of power into the transmitter, so you're able to achieve the SAR, like the specific absorption rate that is required. Like, I know in the US is 1.6 watts per kilogram, and in Europe is like 2 watts per kilogram. But since the one in the US is the lowest, so this is the one that we always consider. So we had to put 1 watt of RF power in the transmitter. So if we consider this configuration, and we were able to have up to 10 milliwatts of DC power throughout the whole configuration. I mean, some of them they were 1 milliwatt, but so even if it's 1 milliwatt, and 1 milliwatt is enough to power some of the sensors that we have on clothing. So, which means what? So far, we are able to have this smart charging system where we can collect up to 10 watts and in a setting that emulates a room of 4x4 square feet. So now let's take the experience a little bit further. So now let's imagine we want to simulate some sedentary activities, right? Where the person can sit, where they are subject to all kind of movements. They can sit up or down, or they can move to the left or to the right, and they can just twist all around. So we want to see if that transmitter is a chair, with 1 watt of transmitting power, and the receiver is on the clothing, and how much power, or if we will be able to receive power at all when the person is subject to all this movement. And to monitor whether we are receiving power or not, so we use 3 LEDs in parallel, right? And we use a mannequin, a mannequin's torso to emulate the human being, and we have the chair, and we have this angular misalignment. You twist here and there, and we have the lateral misalignment. The lateral misalignment, you move to the left, you move to the right, and you move up or down. And let's see how that plays out. So as you can see, around 20 centimeters from the receiver and the transmitter. So regardless of the movement that you should be subject to, the power level will not be the same, but you will always receive power. We know for sure, at least we are receiving 1 milliwatt of power. And that 1 milliwatt of power is more than enough for a variety of, to power a variety of sensors. So now, what else can we do? We can get something more practical. Let's say wound healing. And since if we can design some on-body charging device, can we take that device and miniaturize it and get a real-world application on the spot? That's what we're gonna figure out, right? And from there, you have a wound, right? And you have some sensors on the wound. The sensors are embedded in the bandage. The bandage uses antennas for wireless power transfer and use rectifying circuits for harvesting. And after harvesting, get the DC power to power the sensors. And after detecting some chemical components from the wound, modulate that device, modulate that data, and send it out. You can send it out to your phone or send it out to any remote receiver, right? So if we follow the example that I showed prior, so that bandage you should have an antenna, in form of an X, a rectifying circuit, and a sensor, and a data modulator, which is a voltage control oscillator, and another antenna to send the data out. Just to leverage this wireless power transfer and all this advanced sensing for wound healing. And this antenna is a variant of the anchor shape antenna. So remember, the anchor shape antenna was chosen for misalignment resilience and for high power transfer, right? So this antenna was used for wireless power transfer and was subject to 6 different scenarios of misalignment. So the delta Z is the misalignment, just putting the transmitter a little bit far away from the transmitter without any angular or any lateral misalignment. And the DX is just taking one axis and misaligned it on one axis. The delta Y is a misalignment on the other axis. This delta X equals delta Y, so it's misalignment on the diagonal direction, right? And the other angular misalignment or azimuthal and elevational misalignment. So as you can see, regardless of the misalignment scenario, we're still able to transfer reasonably high power, and the power transfer, the performance was not compromised when the system was subject to all this misalignment, which we predicted because we designed this antenna based on the anchor shape topology. And we had another single diode rectifying circuits. So we have some lambda over 8 stub, which is the harmonics suppressor, and we have other stubs, used to achieve impedance matching, and also to boost this RF choke and to be able to collect more DC power. So we were able to achieve around 78%, close to 27 dBm. So around 0.5 watts, which is good. So now let's talk about data modulation. So we said that when we use a sensor, so the sensor detect the chemical components of the wound, so the data should be modulated. So this VCO is receiving the variable DC voltage that it gets from the sensors and convert them into radio frequency signals. Each of them has a specific radio frequency signals that they can send out, right? So for the wound monitoring, we identify 2 chemical components: the uric acid level of the wound and the overall pH level. So when we consider the overall uric acid concentration of the wound beyond 0.4 millimolar, the wound is getting severe. Below that, the wound is good. And all these concentrations, they correspond to some voltage level that the sensor outputs. And from there, the voltage level is fed to the VCO, and the VCO convert them into this frequency modulation. And on top, you can see all the spectra of different from different uric acid concentration. And from the pH level, it's basically the same thing. So you have some pH level, and when the pH sensor detects that, it outputs some voltage, some variable voltage level, and from the variable voltage level, the VCO converts that into some frequency, some RF signals that is sent out. So on top, you can see all the spectra, right? And to emulate a real-life scenario, we have a mannequin. We put the bandage on the mannequin, and the transmitter was made using like a big sheet that you can consider like a bed sheet. And we have the same antenna that we have on the bandage on there. And we power the bed, and the bed send the RF power to the bandage, and the bandage does all the magic, and after modulation, send the data out to be collected wirelessly by a spectrum analyzer. The spectrum analyzer will show the different spectra and based on the frequency shift. So when we emulate this real world application, so as you can see, the mannequin is there. This is the bed with all the antennas embedded, and you have the bandage. And now we have this little container because we had to emulate a wound, right? And to emulate a wound, we have this container and we consider different pH solution to represent that. And this is like a pH sensor that is dipped into the container. So first, we had to calibrate the system. To calibrate the system, we didn't use any fluid, and we see how, how the signal was, right? And after that, we changed the pH level of the wound by considering different pH solutions, and that was for pH 1. And see if the signal is gonna change, because before the frequency was 868 megahertz when there was no fluid. Let's see if that's gonna change. Okay. Oh, I lost my pointer. Okay. Okay. So now if you change it, let's see if the signal is gonna change. Indeed, the frequency change. So at the end, when the pH level changed from 1 to 4, the frequency of the signal changes from 883 to 847, which is, we can use that for sensing. But what we can have like a network of these bandages, and we can use all type of artificial intelligence to modulate all the signal coming from all these array of bandages for health monitoring. And we can have different process and do the same. So basically, the future of smart healthcare looks bright, with this high revenue that they are looking at. And the emphasis is on wearables for diagnostics and monitoring. So right now we have all these textile wireless charging and sensing to use this. Then moving forward, we can use virtual reality and robotics for that, right? And you can even have smart undergarment instead of smart bandage. I'm currently working on this smart undergarment, and pretty soon I can have another talk where I can explain to you more about that. And we are working on implantables as well, and please stay tuned. We're gonna get some exciting news later. And also, we want to make sure that we integrate some more data analytics, using AI and everything for a much larger scale, in these kind of systems. And that's gonna be used for research and so on. So thank you very much. And if you have any questions, please let me know.
Thank you for your excellent talk. Is there any question from the audience?
Yes, I have a question.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Yes.
Sir, I have a question. Is there any energy storage? Is there any energy storage solutions in your wearable hub system in case of low RF power availability cases?
Yes, sir. So for right now, since we don't have a clear process to embroider some batteries, on clothing, so we use some really thin storage materials, some batteries, just for energy storage. But again, it's not too reliable. So we are thinking about improving it later. So yeah.
Any other question?
Sir, I have one question.
Yes, sir.
So as you said, it can detect wound. Can it detect anything else, like other difficulties?
For example?
For example, if a bone may be broken, can it be detected?
Well, I don't look at this yet, but there is a possibility that we can have some sensing capabilities for that. But I still have to look into that. I don't know if it's gonna be an implantable or just wearable. But yeah, thank you. So I'll keep that in mind.
Okay, and
sorry.
Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead, sir.
Okay, and you continue. You finish first.
Yeah. So what I was about to say, since I talked about smart undergarment, right? So the undergarment that I'm working on right now, so it can use seminal fluid or vaginal discharge to detect STDs, to detect pregnancy, to detect ovulation, and to detect infertility. And we are looking at the possibility of having it predict miscarriage. So the possibility is endless.
Okay, and I will be grateful if you suggest some of your works, like papers, what I can learn more about your works, because this is really fascinating works you have done so far.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. So I recently published the work on the smart bandage, and I can send them to Professor Islam, and he can share that with you.
Okay, that will be very helpful for us. Thank you.
Yes, my pleasure. Any more questions?
I have another question.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, in your system, you choose 360 megahertz for RF power source. But why 360 megahertz?
Oh, okay. That's a very good question. Thank you.
Why?
So it was, yeah, so it was just an example of frequency that we chose, right? Because I mean, what you meant to say was for the ISM, we have like 433, we have like 915 and so on, and you have like some lower frequency too. But we just wanted to test the system as quickly as possible. So that's why we consider like the 360. But of course, like everything that came after that, they were like some 433 megahertz. Yes, just to make sure that we are in compliance with FCC and FDA. Yeah.
Okay. Actually, I have a question that I have done a research work in my undergrad project. In case it was for 2.45 gigahertz actually for
2.45?
targeting the Wi-Fi router source. Is there any plan to you in case of 2.45 gigahertz integrated in your system, as
Yes.
as we use most of the router system in the range of 2.45 gigahertz in our household? So it would be a
Yes.
great RF source.
Yes. So the short answer is yes. Because the only thing that I have to do, I just have to change the data modulation circuit, right? The VCO, and I can choose it to work in the range of 2.4 and 2.5, right? But there's a problem. It's like 2.4 and 2.5, they're like in a short range, right? And now they talk about long range, which is like the 915. And it's already like a well put together system. So I'm trying to look at integrating the LoRa long range antenna with my system so that I can send information further away, because with LoRa you can send information up to 8 kilometers, and you can't do that with Wi-Fi unless you have multiple sources that you can use as relays. So that's why I didn't really focus on 2.4, but that depends on the application that you're targeting. Yes, 2.4 is a possibility.
Yes, thank you.
My pleasure.
Any other
Any more
question?
question? Don't be shy, guys. Shadmin, you seem to have a question.
Do you have any question?
Yeah, I see that she's unmuted, so
I'm sorry.
okay. Well, I don't know if you allow me to say, I am looking for, hardworking PhD students. Please, 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 if you are interested in PhD, please drop me an email and we'll take it from there. If you love wearables, if you love working on medical applications, please, I'm looking for people like you.
Hello, Dr. Vital. I'm
Yes,
Mohammad
sir.
Shafqat Hussain. Actually, I am trying to enroll in PhD programs for fall 24, actually. My supervisor actually told me about you. And
Okay.
actually I did some in my undergrad project work. I used you can say that I use heart rate variability for detecting obstructive sleep apnea.
It's
And
like radar?
yes, using my
Okay,
radar. And I was
okay.
sort of interested for, as you were working on virtual clinics and everything, and
Mm-hmm.
I was sort of interested that if I can work on your project on with that for medical application and everything.
Oh, absolutely. Like it would be my absolute pleasure, you know.
So
I mean,
can I?
since you know, like you are working with somebody that I know very well, that, I mean, I know, like, whenever, you come to my team, and I know, you're gonna be a high achiever, and man, we're gonna do a lot of great work. Did you
Yeah,
like, yeah, please apply because most of the universities in the US, when you apply by December 15th,
yeah.
it's a great thing. I mean, I think the deadline is in February, but please, I would love for you to apply by December 15th.
Yeah, can I mention your work in my statement of purpose that I want to work with you?
Of course. Yes. And please let me know when you submit, when you finish submitting your application.
Yeah, I already sent you an email like a week prior about and submit my
Oh, you see?
CV and my
Okay.
mark sheets. Uh,
Okay. Yeah. Well, I'm gonna keep an eye out. Hold on. Yeah, so yeah, I'm gonna look at that and we'll be in touch. I can't wait to have you, man.
Thank you so much, Dr. Vital.
My pleasure.
Published a paper in 𝐼EEE-JRM from his undergrad work. So he's a very hardworking. I believe like he will be
Well, I mean, as I said, he's working in somebody that I know very well, so I know he's gonna be doing some hard work.
okay. Thank you very much. Any other question?
Sir, I have one more question to ask. It's about
Okay.
also applying. I These are also planning to apply for the next fall
Mm-hmm.
on your university. But the question is,
Mm-hmm.
my undergrad CGPA is a bit low, but the other in graduate program I did very well, and I also had published a paper with my beloved supervisor, Dr. Sheikh Mohammed Islam as well. So my question is,
Oh,
the low CGPA on undergrad will cause any difficulties getting the opportunity to enroll?
well, I mean, why don't you send me your CV and send me the transcript, and let's just have a Zoom call.
Okay, sir.
Saurabh has
Mm-hmm.
undergrad CGPA like 3.1 out of 4, and he
Okay.
completed his masters. I know like he is going to get like 3.77 out of 4 in his
Oh.
masters. Yeah, so he did
Mm-hmm.
well in his masters, but unfortunately he could not do well. He's working with me, and he has some interesting research. Like he's working on through the wall vital sign monitoring using radar. Yeah, so he's also looking for a position.
Okay. Well, as I said, please send me your CV and your transcript, and we'll take care of things.
Okay, okay. I sure will do that. Thank you very
Yeah.
much.
My pleasure.
Any other question?
Any other questions? It seems like Nashadmin has a question.
Sadhna, can you hear us?
Oh, it seems like she has a connection problem. Okay.
Okay. If there are no other questions, thank you, Div, again for your nice and excellent work and presentation. We really appreciate for your time and the way you interacted with my students. Really, it would be a pleasure for us would be great, like if we could give you some token. Probably we'll try to give you some certificate as a speaker, and hopefully
Thank
in
you.
future you can visit Bangladesh and you can at that time provide a token of
Oh,
appreciation. Yeah,
I can't wait, man.
yeah.
I can't wait. I had that in mind, but I
Yeah.
was like, should I give them a surprise or should I let them know when I'm coming? But yes,
Yeah.
I have that in mind.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Then thank you everyone, like for today's for being here for today's talk. And with this, like I would like to formally conclude today's presentation. Thank you everyone.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, Dave, then talk to you later then. Okay. Dave.
Okay. Thank
Okay.
you. Bye-bye.
Okay. Thank you. Bye bye.